Duckworth here, Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique Practitioner Level 3. And I'd like to talk to you today about some information that's come through QHHT sessions associated with prayer and kind of understanding that information in terms of who are we praying to? Like what is going on when we pray? There's been lots and lots of scientifically rigorous studies in hospitals about how powerful, physically powerful prayer is. So we know it's important. But what's really going on? One of the wonderful things about being a QHHT practitioner is having a front row seat to this kind of information. And after practicing for almost 7 years and hundreds of clients, what's really remarkable is how consistent information is client after client. It's really unusual. So I'll tell you what I've learned about prayer through QHHT. I'm not going to change your beliefs. I'm not here to change your beliefs about God, about any sort of religion or anything like that. Just like Dolores, I'm just sharing information. I'm just telling you what came out of their mouth. And I still wrestle, honestly, with some of the things that I believe. In sessions, information will come through and I'll be like, whoa, what? And I'll have to take quite a bit of time, years, to really wrap my head around the information that came out in session. So we're all wrestling with it. We're all trying to understand it. But I'll share with you what I happen to know. One of the things that I've learned through QHHT about prayer is that, first of all, it's very important. And from the higher self perspective, they see it as communion with them, communion with the higher self, communion with the subconscious. And not necessarily talking to some thought process of some judgmental entity that is observing what we're doing and judging good or bad in terms of what we're doing. I've never found any evidence of that. This judgmental God type entity. What I have found through QHHT is God is just everything, reality. God, we are in God. We don't pray to God. We are a part of God. So God isn't really involved in prayer in terms of, except for in terms of the state of being that arises during prayer. So who are we praying to? What I've come to understand is that we're praying to our higher self. It's a communion with our higher self. So what is the higher self? The higher self is just the eternal part of us. It's the part that knew us before this physical being was alive. It's the part that will still exist when this physical being doesn't exist. It knows everything about every life. It's been there with every life we've ever had. If we've had other lives, some people haven't. And the higher self, when I've asked for them to describe themselves, they are also always very careful of saying that they are connected to God. So it is our God part. It is the part of us that is connected to God. So when we are in communion with the higher self, we are in communion with God, I guess. So who are we praying to? We're praying to our higher self. And then what we've also learned through QHHT, through communion with the higher self, because that's who's talking in a QHHT session, through you, through your voice, kind of cool. We found that there's specific ways that they recommend us to pray, okay? So first of all, what I've learned is that they prefer for us to pray about a state of being and not necessarily an outcome. So pray for things like peace, happiness, joy, beauty, abundance, and not necessarily pray for, let me win the lottery on Thursday night, okay? Because when you pray for these state of being type outcomes, then they can give that to you and give you that gift in so many different ways. You don't tie them down to winning the lottery on Thursday night. If you pray for abundance, of just always having everything that you need at your fingertips and living in comfort and financial abundance, then just pray for that state of being. And then they have millions and millions and billions of ways to provide that for you. So one thing that we've learned through QHHT is when we pray, we're in communion with the higher self, and we want to, if we're requesting, if we're asking for help, we want to ask for the outcome as being a state of being, peace, joy, happiness, okay, abundance, these kinds of things. And then we want to recognize when they show up, and we want to feed back with prayers of gratitude, of just being grateful for that communion, grateful for that state of being, and grateful for the gifts that came to us. So that's just a little bit of what I've learned about prayer through QHHT. It's really about communing with your very own soul, communing with your own higher self, inside of God, being connected and feeling that connection with God as God exists in and around us all day, every day, not praying to God. And then praying for this state of being, of really wanting to pay attention to how we want to arise, how we want to live, not what we want to have, but how we want to live our lives. So just a little bit of wisdom. I'm still wrapping my head around it. It's tough stuff, and hopefully sharing this information helps just a little. Thank you.